Welcome to Entry Point Faith, where every week we discover fresh meaning in the world so you can find faith your way. This week's message is titled, Back to School.
On September 15th, 1886, a superintendent of a school system posted these rules for teachers. Duties: wash windows and clean classroom with soap and water once a week. Check outhouse daily. Plenty of old catalogs are available at school board office. Apparel: forbidden wear in public at all times. Women: a bathing costume, bloomers for cycling, skirts slit to expose ankles, bustle extension over 10 inches. Forbidden wear in public at all times for men: detachable collar and necktie removed from shirt. Shirt sleeves unlinked and rolled. Hair closely cropped unless bald or have disease of the scalp. Conduct: cause for immediate dismissal. Smoking of cigarettes, use of spirits, frequenting of pool or public dance halls. Marriage or other unseemly behavior by women teachers. Joining of any feminist movement, such as the suffragettes. So, when I suggest that teaching is much more challenging than it used to be, I guess I should remember the check the outhouse daily duty. But let's be honest. School has become much harder for teachers, students, administrators, bus drivers, lunchroom personnel, and parents since the COVID pandemic, as well as the increase in school shootings. It is no wonder schools are understaffed right now. We all know the value of school. Education is a major institution in our culture and around the world. Long ago, schools used to be the hub of the community. In smaller cities, that's still often the case, where alumni attend all the sporting events and multiple generations attend the same elementary, middle, and high schools. So most schools are back in session now. Seems early, doesn't it? The school year was originally designed around agriculture. Kids were off for the summer, so they would be available to work on the family's farm. After Labor Day, or even later into September, kids returned to school because most of their work at the farm was completed. Now, since not very many kids are working the family farm anymore, we have balanced calendars which stretch the school year out, but allow for more frequent and longer breaks for teachers and students. Summer break is shorter, but fall break and spring break and holiday breaks are all significantly longer. I don't know about you, but I loved school. I loved everything about it. I had some incredible teachers throughout my public school education who inspired me and prepared me well for the rest of my life. Brad Henry wrote, "A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning." That is a pretty good description of the teachers that I was fortunate enough to have in the 50s and 60s in Akron, Ohio. It is no surprise that I ended up becoming an educator because I wanted to be like them. I wanted to do the same thing for students that they had done for me. For many of us, there is a special teacher that made the difference for us. That teacher modeled grace and compassion. That teacher went the extra mile for us. That teacher taught us a life lesson that we never forgot. An older man who was once a teacher at a private boys' school is approached by a younger man and asks, "Do you remember me?" The older man replied, "What do you do in life?" The young man said, "Well, I became a teacher." "Ah, good, like me." "Yes, in fact, I became a teacher because you inspired me to be like you," said the young man. The older teacher was curious. When did you decide to become a teacher?" And the young man told this story. "One day, a friend of mine, also a student, had come to school with a really nice new watch, and I decided I wanted it. I stole it. I took it right out of his pocket. Shortly after that, my friend noticed that his watch was missing, and he immediately complained to our teacher, who was you. And then you addressed the class, saying, 'This student's watch has been taken during class today, and whoever stole it, I want you to return it.' Well, I didn't give it back because I didn't want to. You closed the door, and you told us all to stand up and form a circle. You asked us to close our eyes. You told us you were going to go around the room, around the circle, to each one of us and ask us to empty our pockets into your hands. We did as we were instructed. You went from boy to boy, and when you got in front of me, I handed you the watch. You continued to move from boy to boy, and when you were done, you said, 'Open your eyes, we have the watch.' You didn't tell on me, and you never mentioned the episode again. You didn't say who stole the watch. That day, you saved my dignity forever. It was the most shameful day of my life. But it was also the day that I decided not to become a thief or remain a bad person. You didn't scold me or take me aside to give me a lesson in morals. I received your message clearly. Thanks to you, I understood what a real educator needs to do. Do you remember that episode, Professor?" The older teacher said, "I remember that situation with the stolen watch, but I didn't remember that it was you, because while I was moving from one young man to the next young man around the circle, I also had my eyes closed." Successful author Clint Smith recently posted this on his Facebook page. "I've said this before, but one of the many reasons I'm a writer is because I had a teacher in 3rd grade who looked at my poem about clouds and said, 'You can be a writer when you grow up.' It stayed with me forever. Teachers, don't underestimate what your words can do for your students." Well, lots of us didn't go back to school this season. We aren't enrolled in any classes, we aren't teaching any longer, and we aren't involved in school in any way. But we still have things to learn. You've heard the phrase, never stop learning. Learning doesn't just happen in school. We all know this. Learning is an activity that is necessary for all of us to be able to adapt to our life circumstances. Life itself teaches us. Things happen and we have to respond. How we respond is in our control, so we should never stop learning. Some of the lessons that we learn over time aren't lessons that we would choose to learn. We have to adapt all the time. We have to adjust to our ever-changing circumstances. Life gives us lessons from sacrifice to compromise. No matter how old we are, we all need to be open to learning new things. We learn about ourselves as we learn about others if we have an open mind. Probably one of the worst attitudes we can have is to believe that we know absolutely everything and no longer need to learn anything. Becoming a lifelong learner aids our self-growth and is the key to living a fulfilling life. There are always new skills for us to learn. When we actively seek to learn new things, the quality of our lives is increased in two specific areas. The first is that learning actually makes us happier. Now, we might be frustrated at first when we try to learn something, but after we have accomplished our goal of learning the new skill, we become elated. When we decide our own goals, our happiness is not reliant on others. We can pick how many hours we are going to invest. We have personal control over the learning process. Secondly, when we are looking to learn as much as possible, there's less of a chance that we will come off as arrogant. The end result is that we will become more humble as we learn. We become more compassionate and understanding as we grow. Learning also keeps us feeling younger. Henry Ford wrote these words: "Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young." We may not have formally participated in the back-to-school experience, my friends, but we are always learning. We have all been students in school and in life. We have also all been teachers in life. Our behavior and our words have taught others how to act, how to respond, how to handle difficulties. We have all parented and taught many children, some our own, and many those who belong to other parents. While I sometimes wonder whether or not the lessons I have tried to pass on to others ever made a difference, I recall this familiar Bible passage: "Develop a child to its full potential, and that training will last a lifetime." We are always teaching and learning, my friends. Let's not forget that. Amen.
Thanks for joining us for Entry Point Faith's online virtual service. If you'd like to join us, we meet every week at Connor Prairie in Fishers, Indiana. Be sure to join us next week when our message will be titled, "Same."